Well, this is NASCAR America, but we're going to talk a little basketball today. We're going to take a basketball bracket, and we're going to turn it into a racing bracket. Now, you're a Carolina fan. I'm a Duke fan, so we sit on different ends of the table. You're a Syracuse fan. You just endlessly hope for success.
We lose for both y'all, so it was fine.
So we're going to take our Sweet 16 brackets that we have, and we're going to take and pair them. If we were going to have a tournament today in NASCAR, what would he look like? We're going to start with your bracket.
Well, that's the key, right? The tournament today. So what 16 drivers are you going to put in? Well, right now, how is Kyle Busch not the 1 seed? And then Daniel Suarez goes in as my 16th seed. He's not quite in the top 16, but I think he is. What I think would be fun, though, is look at the downstream. So Kyle Busch, I think he outruns Daniel Suarez and moves on. But then instantly he goes against the Chip Ganassi Racing teammates. One of them is going to advance. I think that heads-up match is pretty interesting. Stewart-Haas Racing has a heads-up match with Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer. You got Blaney, Almirola, Logano, Jimmie Johnson. I really think I would love to see what races we would put in what rounds, because I don't think it's as clear-cut at who's going to advance. I actually didn't have as hard a time figuring out my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seed. But, man, just like Selection Sunday, I had a hard time. We were talking, can't believe UNC Greensboro didn't make the big dance, right? Well, there's some drivers on there. I'm like, oh, he's in. No, he's out. No, he's in. It was hard to figure out who's the bottom half of the 16.
Yeah. And I found it so hard that I haven't seen enough from Daniel Suarez at this point in time, even though I think that he's very capable of working his way into that 16. I'm just not sure that I wasn't sure enough that would happen. So basically mine are the 16 that are there right now. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with what I've seen at this point in time, I think this is a whole favorites side to work their way through. I see very few upsets. I think one of the more intriguing, just like you had, where it comes out that Kurt Busch and Kyle Larson race against each other. And most of the time, I think that we would have said before we saw the last 4 races that Kyle Larson certainly would move on from there. But Kurt Busch is the man at that stable right at this point in time.
Well, and the coin flip in my mind was the number 2 seed. So I had Joey, you had Brad.
Yeah.
And just like in the basketball world, when I started making this grid, it does matter who you match up against, right? So when I had Logano at the bottom, you have Brad, right? So he kind of gets to move through a ways before he runs into somebody too tough to beat. But I'm telling you, the 3 seed's a little bit different.
And back to the Ganassi conversation, I think that's an interesting conversation because so much has been talked about. Does Chip Ganassi Racing have the equipment that is needed for Kyle Larson to be successful? Kurt Busch comes in, and Kurt Busch says, hey, I'm better than Kyle Larson. I mean, he's been outrunning Kyle Larson. I'm going to tell you that. You say what you want to say.
Yeah.
Don't you think for a minute that doesn't put some pressure on Kyle Larson, especially in your bracket where they start out racing against each other? That would be high pressure for sure. So let's look at mine and see how different it is. It's probably not all that different. I've got Kyle Busch. There's a big surprise. They're going against Alex Bowman. See Joey Logano against Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie Johnson, 7-time champion. It doesn't matter. It matters what you're doing right now today. And I'm like you. To me, it got really difficult. Look at 7 and 10. Martin Truex Jr. and Clint Boyer. To me, they run very similar. And then Denny Hamlin, 5. Chase Elliott at 12. I think that would have been a great matchup. And even Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Would you want to go head-to-head with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with as aggressive as he is right now? But you know, to me, I'm like you. I think as I got further down, it became more difficult. I had Brad as the 3 seed, and I had Joey as the 2nd.
So did you make a mistake?
Well, so I was getting ready to find out where's the other CGR car, but I can't seem to find him.
Why should he be? Explain to me why he's better than anybody that's in the top 16.
When I saw your bracket, you made me think, and I just automatically put him in there. Yep. But if you really think about it, he really hasn't done anything that would warrant that.
That's what I haven't
to this
seen.
point.
I have to look at results.
Yeah.
And I see, you know, I got down to the bottom and I had Alex Bowman. I had, Austin Dillon in as my 14th. I think Austin Dillon's outrun the 2nd Chip Ganassi car right now. I just see them running in front of them more often than not. So I'm going to go off of how you're finishing and how you're running, and that's how I got my seeds.
Yeah, I think I went more on potential there.
I think I lean.
That they may be able to work to where they get to that point more than Richard Childress with Austin.
I think what we do know, though, is we understand why the committee gets yelled at every year.
Yeah,
Because the 3 of us, we watch every race, we participate in a race, and we love racing, and we disagree on even – we all agreed on the 1 seed, but we disagreed on the 2 and the 3 and the 4, and, you know, that's all subjective.
And I think that's what you see in the big tournament. The one seeds, I don't think were as difficult as people had quite hoped. But you start to get in, the water gets very muddy when you start figuring out who's going to play where and against who. And this was a simple pick 16 drivers. If we would have had to put 4 or 5 racetracks in there, I think it would have instantly changed. And that's what is so, different about NASCAR, much like golf, right? You say this all the time. Football, the field is the same. Basketball, the court, hopefully, is reasonably the same, other than maybe the crowd and where you're playing. When you look at NASCAR and auto racing, the field changes all the time, right? We were just at a worn-out 2-mile in Fontana. Now we're going to go to the paperclip in Martinsville. Well, that would change maybe not my 1 seed. Surprisingly, I think he's going to be the 1 seed wherever. But definitely the middle ranks would change.
The great thing about our brackets, unlike the NCAA committee, is we're not going to get graded because this isn't going to happen. So we're not going to be proven wrong. That's right. Thanks for watching, and tune in NASCAR America at 5 o'clock on weekdays. We have a great time. Mondays are always fun. We get to debate what happened on the races. So tune in and join us.
Hey, NASCAR fans. Thanks for checking out the NBC Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe below for the latest NASCAR news, race highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.